more love, more joy, everything.
It's inspired young people.
Inspiration comes from within you. When you clear out the garbage that's in your mind, you then create space for something better, more beautiful to come in.
Let's have life and have it more abundantly.
I say yes.
It's like taking a workshop. I get to be in my pajamas.
We have a very active imagination, which is why it's important to learn how to harness it and then point it in the direction you want to go.
I listen to your show every day.
It's time now for Living Your Inspired Life with Susan Burrell. Susan is no-nonsense, inspirational, motivational, and fun.
This is positive talk radio.
Practical wisdom for everyday life.
It's a gift you give yourself.
Now, here's Susan.
And welcome to Living Your Inspired Life. I'm Susan Burrell, and you're listening to News Talk 1590 KVTA. And I want to encourage everyone to go to the website, livingyourinspiredlife.org, especially after you listen to this show or even while you're beginning to listen to it, because we have something on the inspiration page that we're going to be talking about today, which is called the Year-End Review. And it's a worksheet and exercises, and the woman who created it is here in the studio with me today. Her name is Doreen Palermo. Doreen, thanks for coming.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, so I love this process that we're going to discuss today, because what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks is how to consciously complete this year and intentionally move into the next year. And that's what this is all about, this review.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So before we dive into it, I just want to open up the space. I want to create some thought-provoking things. I want to read this quote by Howard Thurman, Howard Thurman, for people that don't know, it was considered an American mystic. He was a phenomenally well-educated guy who seeded a lot of spiritual centers and traveled around the world, and his one center was in San Francisco for a while in the 40s and 50s, and that's when he wrote. And I just love the stuff that he's written. It inspires me. So to open up today with this inspiration, if you will. So this is called How Good to Center Down. How good it is to center down, to sit quietly and see oneself pass by. The streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic. Our spirits resound with clashings, with noisy silences, while something deep within hungers and thirsts for the still moment and the resting lull. With full intensity we seek, ere the quiet passes, a fresh sense of order in our living, a direction, a strong, sure purpose that will structure our confusion and bring meaning to our chaos. We look at ourselves in this waiting moment, the kinds of people we are. The questions persist. What are we doing with our lives? What are the motives that order our days? What is the end of our doings? Where are we trying to go? Where do we put the emphasis, and where are our values focused? For what end do we make sacrifices? Where is my treasure, and what do I love most in life? What do I hate most in life, and to what am I true? Over and over the questions beat in upon the waiting moment. As we listen, floating up through all the jangling echoes of our turbulence, there is a sound of another kind. A deeper note which only the stillness of the heart makes clear. It moves directly to the core of our being. Our questions are answered, our spirits refreshed, and we move back into the traffic of our daily round with the peace of the eternal in our step. How good it is to center down.
Wow. Isn't that great?
Isn't that great?
And it just describes exactly why you want to do an exercise like this.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
And what an amazing, he's written so many things. He's wonderful, Howard Thurman. Mm-hmm. So Doreen, I just want to let everybody know that you are a licensed practitioner, spiritual practitioner, and a life coach. And so this review that you've created is it's a very great way to do what Howard Thurman just talked about, to answer some of those questions.
Yeah, answer the questions, simple questions, and then really review your entire life for this year.
Yeah.
And use that energy, because now we're we've collectively come to this place where the new year just gives us permission to start something new, right?
Yeah, it sure does.
So everybody's thinking that. So why not use that energy and take everything that you've done this year, really appreciate what you've done, see what things may disappoint you, and then be able to move on.
I want to move on.
Yeah.
I'm raising my hand. I want to move on.
And accept what you really want to happen in the next year.
Wow.
So,
yeah,
3 simple ways to do that. Just, a process to do this.
Yeah. Okay. So, here's what, let's see. I want to invite people, when you're listening, make sure you have a piece of paper and a pencil, because there are some things that we're talking about today that you're going to want to jot down. And then again, go to the website, livingyourinspiredlife.org, and you can print out this process with all the series of questions. So let's dive into this, Doreen.
Okay.
So
Great.
The first part is well, first of all, let's talk about, why don't you talk about the purpose of this, how you came up with this evolution thing?
Well, it's kind of morphed into a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things that I've learned throughout the last 20 years. And what's really great is it gives me a chance at the end of the year to just journal. And what I discovered that I was doing is that I was journaling and I was just looking at my year, what my good was, what I was disappointed about, what the lessons were and the gifts were that came from both of those sides. And I fell on this quote, or the definition of evolution, from Ernest Holmes, which was the passing of spirit into form, the time and the process through which an idea unfolds to a higher state of manifestation. And I thought, oh, me, right? Let's do this. I'm reviewing me, and it's my evolution of this year, right?
Right.
Because we do evolve throughout the year.
Hopefully.
And there's a time and process that it takes to do that. But what's most important is to take a look at the good and be really honest about the disappointments too, and what didn't turn out the way you wanted it to.
I like that you say disappointments.
Yeah, because the part that's really important about that piece is that you want to be extremely honest with yourself when you're answering those questions. Yes, because those are the little, I would say, the little leaks, those cracks in the ceiling or in a wall that have to be filled. And without them being filled, when you go into the new year, you're still going to carry them along with you, and they're not going to be repaired.
Right.
So what we're doing here is just identifying things, being, repairing what needs to be repaired, releasing it, and then accepting and knowing that when I go into the new year, I can accept what it is I desire and that everything's already patched up and done and taken care of and over. And
in journaling and answering specific questions, you found over the years that helps. That helps repair the cracks. That helps you to kind of clean the slate.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have done this process, but it's been a while since I've done this process. So now I'm thinking about my year. And that's interesting to me, that I do want to be intentional. I do want to clean that slate and make sure that I'm not carrying the residue of those disappointments with me.
Yeah. Well, and those disappointments, sometimes you don't realize, they're there. But what's most important, too, is to understand the feelings that come along with them.
Oh, feelings.
Because those feelings, are is what's driving us, and we don't know it sometimes.
Right.
It's that hidden belief or that hidden, uncomfortable process that,
Right.
We just want to identify.
And I know for me that if there's disappointments, and I'm sure this is true for everyone, if I've had bumps and grinds through the year and there's disappointments, there's those feelings that you're talking about. There is often grief, or I was with a group yesterday, and this one woman said, I really want to have self-compassion. Which said to me, she wants to be able to say, it's okay that I made those mistakes or those choices, or it's okay that what I didn't work out the way I thought. And so having those feelings, or at least investigating what is the feeling underneath all those things that I did or didn't do.
Yeah. So that's why, the worksheet is really just a form for you to use. It's something that you should, if the questions that are on here don't really relate to you, then make up your own questions. But it's a place for you to just answer questions that are coming up for you.
So let's go over some of these questions that you have under My Good. And so you've got two sections.
Yes.
Here, My Good and My Disappointments. And both sections have questions.
Yes. So under the My Good, let's take a look at the year. What did you like best about it? What brought you the most joy and love? What were the milestones or life passages that you need to honor? That one is huge for me this year. I discovered, there were 3 big, huge milestones that happened for me.
Oh, yeah.
And it's amazing what feelings came up around those. And then, the little arrows on my page, I was just being playful. And I was looking at it as the top part of my worksheet is all about what's happening up here in my consciousness, what I'm thinking about,
in
right?
your mind.
Yeah. And then the bottom page is more about what is actually manifesting from it. So above, so below, right? So it's just okay, these are all the good things that happened. And this is how I laid it. And this is how they showed up this year. These are all the things that were disappointing, and yet this is how it's showing up as a gift or as a lesson. And what do I want to do with that?
Okay.
On both sides.
So what are some of the questions under the disappointments?
So under the disappointments, what did I dislike most about this year?
Oh, I got a few.
One that's really hard for me is, what habit can't I seem to break?
Oh.
Who do I like to blame?
Oh, yeah. Do you have to you make a list of who you're blaming?
Yeah, or the situation, right? Like, for example, I am finding myself in a job that doesn't bring me a lot of joy, right? And so I'm blaming myself that I have to stay there because of the income that it provides, right? And I'm also, sorry, my sweet husband, I'm also blaming him.
Right.
Because there's a part of me that wants to not work. I want him to work. And he does too.
Well, and
but
I
it's
think also
it's that funny thing, right? It's like, who else am I blaming from keeping me from doing what I can do? There's nobody that says I can't be in a job that's joyful,
right,
or that brings the amount of income that I'm receiving today.
Right.
So, it's the lesson that, maybe I'm not just blaming me, I'm blaming somebody else, right?
That's so funny that you put yourself first, that I'm blaming me, because for me, I want to point the finger out there.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Everybody else that's doing it to me. And I always start first. I do. I start first with the out there thing.
Yeah.
The thing out there I don't like so much.
That's right.
And then I come to, but I am perpetuating this. I am allowing it. Yeah. I am possibly causing it.
Yeah. But you don't know that, right, until you answer the question, what's the gift I received or the lesson I learned from that?
Yeah.
Because I could blame, my husband, and then when I go, what's the gift? Oh, well, maybe the gift and the lesson really is it's not him, it's me. It's about me having to blame me.
Oh, see, again, I'm so glad you use that as because, again, I'm looking at, whatever's happened in my life this year, and I do start from the outside in often.
Yeah.
If I'm looking outside, what's the gift? So then I have to look at the person that I'm blaming. What's the gift they're bringing me, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not seeing any wise men here. There's no 3 wise men coming with the...
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I don't see it, Doreen. Hopefully by the end, you'll be able to help me see where the gift is.
Yeah.
In that blaming thing. So as above, so below. So so I see this underneath my disappointments, the how it is it's showing up, what are the gifts or lessons I've received from my disappointments. Mm-hmm. That's a challenging one, because it takes courage. I think it takes courage to say, especially if we do sit down with ourselves and realize, when we center down, like Howard Thurman said, and realize, I have participated in this disappointment. Mm-hmm. Then it takes so much strength and courage to go, okay, and not beat yourself up. How do you, so what would you say to people like me who tend to beat I do. I beat myself up. Or this woman I was talking with who said she wants self-compassion. How would you handle that?
The interesting thing about that is that sometimes when we can be honest with ourselves, just by being open and honest, that the healing is just in the awareness. Just that it just opens up this idea.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, there's a sense of freedom that comes with it. And you just start to think a little differently. And it sometimes you don't even have to do anything with it. You just have to recognize it. And then it can free itself.
Oh, really? So it can go, all right. I'm wrapping my mind around this. So if you recognize it, so I often talk about a thing is what it is. So when you recognize and say, okay, that's the thing I have not looked at, or that's the thing I've been avoiding, or there it is, sitting right there on the table in front of me. Then oftentimes it will disappear.
Then exactly. Oftentimes it'll disappear. And if it doesn't disappear, then that's when we can start moving into the other parts of some of this exercise that I think will help.
Okay, let's do that.
So the second part of this exercise is once you've kind of answered your questions about what your good is, answered, what you learned and what the gifts were from that, what your disappointments were, and the same thing, what your gifts and lessons were from that. Then I do this called releasing affirmation. So first, it's really important to answer these 3 questions.
Okay, but first,
yes.
So before we dive into that, when you said you call this a releasing affirmation, so this process on this particular page will create an affirmation that helps you release stuff.
Yes. Well, what it does is it will do that thing that once you have that and you don't know what to do with it, right? It'll help you kind of release that off and then help you identify what's really happening here. So what it does is it kind of sets a theme for what the truth is for you in one word.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right.
So, for example, the first question, in a single word, describe what you have falsely come to believe when you review your list of disappointments.
Okay. I'm so sorry, but since you used yourself as a guinea pig earlier as an example, can we go through that?
Yes. Yeah.
So and this is about your staying in a job that no longer gives you joy.
Yes.
Okay. So in a single word, describe what you have falsely come to believe when you review your list of disappointments.
But some of it is, and I've also provided some words if you have a hard time, but the one word that really stands out for me is lack.
Lack. So you've falsely come to believe in lack.
Yes.
Right. So let me, underneath this, Doreen did provide some prompt words to get you to think about what else could be the thing that you falsely believed in. And some of them are lack, debt, conflict, limitation, rejection, death, chaos, judgment, duality, disease, poverty, things like that. So, and there's more than what are just on this list that you provided. So the thing you falsely come to believe in is lack.
Yes.
Okay.
And
go on.
Yeah. I mean, that I have to reach outside, right, to get some sort of abundance, that the abundance is really within me. And how can I let go of this idea that I can't be provided for, or that I need somebody else to provide it for me?
Okay, can we talk about that? Because I think because that's a principle we talk about on Living Your Inspired Life often, is that all that we need already resides within us. All our answers, all our abundance, our prosperity, our joy, our creativity already resides within us. And it's up to us to break down those barriers or those inner walls where we have kept ourselves small.
Yes.
And that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
So then your belief in lack is because there is another belief under there that somebody else has to provide for you.
Yes.
That you can't provide for yourself.
Or that I'm going to lose out. If I lose my job, I'm not going to have what I have today. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be in lack of what I'm used to having. And I don't, I'm a little scared about that.
Yeah.
So I want to release this thought that there's any lack, So that's the word that comes to mind when I think about, what I've falsely believe about.
Okay, so let's talk about
everything that's going on
right,
here.
so let's stretch that out a little bit so our listeners can understand, because you said that you're scared, that you're fearful about if you let this job go, you won't have what you used to have financially, I'm assuming, and that's fearful. So how do we address that fear? Because that kind of fear can be paralyzing.
I know.
Can keep you stuck for forever.
That's right.
Whether you're talking about a job or a relationship or anything.
Well, the next question, I think, is what helps us, right?
Okay.
Because the next question is, in a single word, describe what you generally do to resist your list of disappointments. So, looking at the disappointments. So, I falsely believe in lack, right?
Right.
But what am I doing in this physical form that I am to not want to deal with any of my disappointments? What I'm doing is I'm procrastinating, or I'm avoiding doing or taking the next step. So I have this tendency to procrastinate. And, that procrastination is keeping me from what the truth is about me.
So the procrastination is what you do to resist your fear of lack. Your procrastination is what you do to resist your fear of lack. Okay, so, and some of these other words under this next thing are control, hide, flee, appease. Oh, there's blame, whine, rebel, confront, depress, be depressed. Okay, so.
And sometimes what's interesting about this process too, and these words are just words that resonate with me. So they have to resonate with you. If you're sometimes listening to if you're listening to me and thinking, oh, I don't know that I would have believed that's a word for her. It's really important. It's important that it's the word for you.
Okay, so see, I often, when I do this process, I often come up with more than one word. So something I would put under here is pitch a fit.
Okay.
That's what I do to resist the thing I'm afraid of. I just pitch a fit.
Yeah.
That's
right. Exactly. That's an example. Just use it. It has to resonate with you. But be honest about what it is, so you can let it and release it.
Right. So do you find, okay, so I'm asking questions before we finish the process, but do you find that as you go through this, when you review it again, that the words change?
Yes. Yeah, they will. Yeah. And this particular process, this second piece of this process, is something that I do on a regular basis. It doesn't, if I'm journaling or something comes up in my life, not just this year-end review, but other things that are showing up, and I get this aha, and I'm like, yes, this is what's happening. I'm not really happy with it. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm buying into.
Right.
And, this is what I'm finding that I'm doing in it. It's just, this is a really quick releasing affirmation for me to just kind of move on.
Okay, so the page that says releasing affirmation, I could make several copies of this and do it
all the time,
like once a month.
Yeah, or whenever you need to, write something down. If you're in that place where you're stuck.
Oh yeah. Okay, and you can't figure out what's going on with you. You use it to find out what's going on with you.
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So now what happens next?
So
wait.
Yes.
So what are the words that we have now?
We have lack and procrastination.
So the thing that you've been falsely believing in is lack, and the thing that you do to resist that is
procrastinate.
Okay.
Yeah. So then the third question is, in a single word, describe how you feel when you review your list of good. Now, when I take a look at my entire year and what's happened and the things that happened in that year, I get really emotional around it, because at the end of the day, the biggest lesson and the gift was that it was just an affirmation of beauty.
Oh.
Everything about it was beauty.
Your entire
it was beautiful.
year.
Yeah. It was just beautiful.
Even with all the disappointment stuff.
Even with all the disappointments. It was just beautiful, And so that's the word that I want to actually put into the universe and set it as kind of my theme for what I want to make in the new year. So, or what I want to live from. If I was doing this on an everyday or, a daily process where I just needed to release that which isn't serving me, which is lack or, procrastination, and that the truth of who I am is beauty, then I have not only am I releasing what doesn't serve me, but I'm also pushing with that a strength and a power to allow me to live from. That serves my higher good. So that's what we do in this releasing affirmation.
Okay, so now what's the affirmation now? Because at the bottom there's an actual.
So what you do is you take your disappointment word that you falsely believed in, the thing that you generally do, and then your word of good, and you say, I release my belief in lack. I release my need to procrastinate. I am grateful. I am the beauty that I am.
Oh my goodness, that's lovely. Wow, Doreen, that's really good. I have a client who every year she's done this for years, decades, I think. She comes up with a word that she wants to focus on. Like one year it was discernment, and another year it was detachment, or and then that becomes the word that she focuses on, and she uses that word to open her mind to whatever's going on in her life and go, okay, so if it's discernment, how am I going to discern, like say this job situation you got going on, how am I going to see this differently? What is it that I need to discern? Instead of judging it, I can discern what is the good of it, what is the disappointment of it, that kind of thing. I think that's so wonderful to come up with a word, and that's your focus word for the year.
Yeah, and that focus word, it allows me to be open to really seeing the beauty in everything, even when it's a disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of the process. That's what's been coming up for me the last couple of days as I start to review my year.
Doreen, I love it. And we're going to take a short break. You're listening to Living Your Inspired Life with Susan Burrell, and we will be back in just a moment with Doreen Palermo, life coach. Welcome back to Living Your Inspired Life. I'm Susan Burrell, and I have with me in the studio spiritual practitioner and life coach Doreen Palermo, and we are going through this really awesome process called the year-end review, and you can print it off of the website, livingyourinspiredlife.org, and do it for yourself as you're closing out the year, or maybe it's the thing you do on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
After you watch the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you were going to kind of
let me just kind of recap here. So basically what's on what's the attachment that's on the website is a 3-page exercise. And the point of the exercise is to spend a little bit of time getting quiet and using the first sheet of the page and answering questions about your life this year. What was your good? What were your disappointments? What did you learn from them? What were the gifts from them? And then just kind of germinate with it, see how it feels. And then the second page, which is the page that we kind of completed, and we'll go through again, is a chance to take what you've learned, the good and the disappointments, and put it in a form that allows you to release what is not serving you, and then set an affirmation or one word that goes with it when you're releasing what doesn't serve you into that wonderful place that we just call that universal law that just says yes to everything, right?
Yeah.
So we're setting an intention and a word that's going to support our higher good before we make what I call an intention for the new year, which is on the 3rd page.
Okay.
So that's the piece we haven't gone through yet. But again, these are just some worksheets that you can use and journal, whether you're using your own journal, if you need something to use, these are some guidelines for you.
So let me ask you, for the releasing affirmation page, is it okay? So what we want to do with that page is look at the thing from the disappointment side of the first page, right? That maybe still has us stuck.
Yes.
And so how do I know that I'm stuck? Because is it when I'm feeling scared or when I'm feeling angry?
It could be both.
Okay. What about if you're feeling grief?
Exactly. It could be all of it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not one emotion.
No.
But generally it's this affirmation is to be developed so that you can release, you can move through it. And
you may have to do several of them, right? You may have to do one around anger. You may have to do one. Yeah, you want to just keep releasing it. Just create. Yeah.
Why? There's a whining thing here. It's something I do to resist. Whine. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we agreed that I would be the new guinea pig for this, just so everybody gets to understand how this works. So, crud. So I have to look at, okay, so what should I release? Doreen, I want you to do it for me. See? I look outside of myself.
Well, I think we should go back to the first page. Let's talk about some of what was the one thing that you liked most about last year? Or I should say this year,
So the word that comes up is empowerment. I feel that I became more empowered this year.
Okay.
Is that on that list?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. But that's okay.
That's the word that comes up.
Okay.
Is the good stuff.
Okay. So remember that word, right? Just empowerment.
Okay.
I'll write it down.
Okay.
What was the thing you disliked most about this year?
What was my biggest disappointment?
Yeah. Be honest.
I gotta say, I think my biggest disappointment, I don't know, you're gonna have to help me through this, is that my life changed dramatically from what I thought it was going to be. It was because I'm going through a divorce. So that's my biggest disappointment, is the well, there's something else underneath there because I can feel my stomach. So I think it's like having to let go of everything I knew that or thought I knew. Everything I knew or thought I knew, and be okay with it. And I'm still, not okay with a lot of things.
And so what do you think has come out in terms of, so first of all, how does that feel when you think about the disappointment?
There's a lot of grief. There's just a lot of grief.
Okay.
So I think that's the thing that needs to be transformed,
Yes.
Or
yeah.
I mean, believe me, I got boxes of Kleenex galore.
Yeah.
But
and in that grief though, right, there's a lesson about that too. You may not want to hear this, but the gift in that is that you could possibly understand somebody else's grief a little bit deeper next time.
Really? Okay.
Okay, so that's important, right?
Yeah.
Is that you may be going through this even though you don't like like it and it wasn't what you thought, but
Right.
it's going to help serve you later.
Okay, you just know that for me.
Yes.
You just hold that for me.
Yes.
So what you're saying is one of the gifts of having gone through this deep grief this year is that I have more compassion.
Mm-hmm.
I will be more compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting too because the grief is also okay. This is interesting for people if you're going through this kind of a thing. What I've noticed this year, because my word is empowerment, right? That's the good. That the grief, in allowing myself to grieve, along with being angry and being disappointed or whatever all the other feelings are. But the grief has been the biggest thing for me. And in allowing myself to grieve, I have become more empowered. Now, that sounds like a paradox, yeah?
No. Mm-mm.
It's like crazy to me.
No, it's not crazy. It's
How?
the
How is
whole
it
of
not?
life. It's that's how life works.
That in the grief,
It's-
then you become empowered?
Yes, I know that's really strange,
Okay,
but
that's weird.
it's
All right. Okay, so
okay. So when you think about in this whole process of grief and in this whole process of divorce, tell me what you've kind of falsely come to believe about all of this.
I think that it's that I falsely, before it, I think I was believing that I wasn't good enough. And now this year of empowerment in letting go of all of it, I do believe that I'm good enough. I can affirm for myself with absolute certainty that I love myself. And prior to this, that was always a question. It was always the thing I couldn't grasp, my own self-esteem. And I know there's people like that out there listening right now. Having your self-esteem be your self-esteem. Again, I've been a person that looks outside of myself to blame, but I also looking outside of myself to gain, right? Whatever it is I think I'm lacking, and in it all being complete, in this process of divorcing, right? Then there is nobody else but me. So where did I had to go within myself to find my self-esteem, not the esteem or the love that was coming from someone else to me that filled that hole, but I had to find it myself. So I don't even know where I went with this. What was the question? Oh my goodness.
What belief? What did you come to falsely believe about?
Okay, that
what's
I wasn't
happening?
good enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what I said.
Yeah. That you weren't good enough.
Right.
Yeah. So let's just use that and as part of the releasing affirmation. So for example, in a single word, what have you falsely come to believe when you review your disappointments? You for a while, it was your self-worth. That you were not self-worthy, that you were not worthy.
Right.
That's what you came to falsely believe, that you
Right.
weren't worthy.
So where's that on this list?
It's a word that has to resonate with you. It doesn't have to be the list, the words that are on this list, but it was something that you falsely believed in, that this divorce was all about you not being worthy enough.
Right.
So, you falsely believed in not being worthy, and that's okay to just, it
To
doesn't
say
have
that.
to be, I like to try to get to a single word, but sometimes it's not always going to be a single word, and it's okay.
Yeah. Like I said,
But
I like
just-
phrases.
Yeah. And if you like phrases, then that's how you should use that process.
That I'm not worthy. Right.
Yeah.
I came to.
Yes.
I falsely believed that I wasn't worthy.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we'll write worthy, not worthy,
Okay.
whatever your phrase was.
Okay.
Okay. And then in that not worthiness, what do you do to just not want to deal with this idea that you're not worthy? What do you do? What's your tendency to avoid or just,
I think I would get angry. At the again, it's that blaming. Or I would blame. Is blame
yes,
on there?
blame is on there.
Blame.
Yeah.
Blame. Confront.
Yeah.
Rebel.
Yeah.
Whine.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of it. Yeah. I think all these get angry. So
Yeah.
what's the one word? Help me
I'm going to
think.
say blame. I think blame is a good
Oh,
one.
I would blame.
Yeah.
Oh. Wait, so how does that go?
So if we're thinking about it now, and as part of this releasing affirmation, I release my belief in the idea that I'm not worthy. I release my need to blame. And now I am grateful that I am what? What is the truth about you? That you are worthy. You know,
That
you're
I'm
the worthiness.
empowered.
That you're empowered. That's right. Sorry, I forgot
Or
that
that
word.
I'm loved.
You're empowered.
Because I
Yeah.
love myself now.
Yes.
Well, that's weird. Look how that
Yeah.
worked. Wait,
Yeah.
okay, so I think I have to say this.
Yes. I release my belief.
Okay, you're helping me. Thank
Yeah.
you, Doreen. I release my belief in
the
not being worthy.
Yes, and not being worthy. Yes.
I release my need to blame. I am grateful I am the empowerment that I am.
Yes.
Well, that feels a heck of a lot better. That feels better. Weird. Weird, but
weird.
better. Wow.
And this is what's great about this process is that it's like really, is that what's going on? But it could be that underlining issue that just needs to be gone, and have something that's strong enough and a foundation to hold you on, and be the thing that's going to help you move forward.
So what I know about this process too is that doing these affirmations, you just don't do it one time. That in fact to repeat them out loud to yourself, because the powerful thing about affirmations is when they're spoken out loud, as opposed to just being read or written. Although writing them is helpful too, but speaking them out loud, there's something in our brain that in hearing our own voice speak anything, it uptakes it. Right, and I don't know if it goes into new neural synapses or what. I don't know all the biology about that.
Well, something that I like to do is I like to write it down. I like to say it out loud, and then because this is the winter and we may be sitting down in a quiet, maybe even by the fire, is that once I've said I've released my my belief in something, I've released my need for this, and I am grateful that I am that I am. I just take it and throw it into the fireplace because it's gone now, right? I've released it. And the best part is I've released it. It's burned up. But what's really burning up is the beauty that I am. So that's that
Oh my
thing
goodness.
it's set the tone for what's next.
That's wonderful. I love that image. I so love that image. I'm going to do that when I get home.
Yeah.
I love that. And I'm reminded of this thing that Ernest Holmes, our one of our favorite mentors, said, and I read it a couple of weeks ago, but I just want to say it again because I think it's part of what we're doing here. He said, "Fortunately, your destiny is not external. If it were, you could not reach your goal. One by one, without frenzy of impatience, you are going to remove the mental blocks that stand between you and your destiny." That's what you're talking about.
That's right. That's exactly what this is doing, is removing those mental blocks.
And what he says is, what thought has done, thought can undo. The mental patterns laid down in your subconscious throughout the ages can be consciously removed. And that's what this affirmation thing, releasing affirmation can do.
Yes.
This is wonderful to have this be your year end
Yeah, as part of that process.
contemplation thing.
Yeah.
So then what happens next? What do you get to the next
So what
piece?
happens next is knowing that, I've kind of set this, yours is empowerment, mine was beauty. So in knowing that I am the beauty that I am, what is it that I really want to have happen in 2013? What do I really want? And the thing about identifying what you really want, it's one thing to just name it, but what people forget is that with everything that we want, sometimes, unless we really identify what form it takes in and we can see it, or even what we want to experience from it, we'll be dissatisfied. So you can't just name what you want. Like, okay, you know what I really want? I just want to win the lotto.
Okay.
Okay. What if I just want to win the lotto, right?
Right.
Because I'm in lack. I'm thinking that's going to solve all my problems, right? But, okay, well, what form do I see that taking? It could be, okay, collecting the money. It could be, then sharing the money. Then, I have to go into that place on, okay, once I have it, you have to identify what it's going to look like when you have it and the experience you want to gain from when you have it. Because just naming I want it and you get it, it becomes it's not satisfying after a while.
So what I'm hearing you say is by identifying the experience you want to have, you're then also it's going back to the affirmation. You're reaffirming that you are the beauty that you are, or I am the empowerment that I am. I'm reaffirming it by intentionally seeing or feeling the experience I want to experience, even before I've had that experience.
Yes.
Am I sounding weird here?
No.
Okay.
No, because that's the energy. That's that new energy that's going to carry you and be the very thing that it's kind of like this. It's just this amazing mantle that's wrapped around you that is guiding you and directing you throughout the rest of your year.
Oh, how fabulous.
And you have that thing, if you want to call it outside, but it's really not outside. It's the thing you've already identified within you that's really your guide. That's your guide.
The third sheet of this process is called the New Year intention.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
Identifying and then setting intentions.
So we've taken what that last line of that intention was from the second page and created or just rewrote it at the top so that becomes the thing that's giving me the power to help me get clarity on what it is that I want. And so, if I really want... and really what I want is a job that fulfills me, right? A job that's joyful, doing things that I want. And the truth is there's so much beauty that I've already claimed within me and within my life that the job that I have will bring those beautiful gifts that I so desire, those beautiful things. I'll be able to see them and recognize the beauty that they are. And maybe I'll even recognize the beauty that's already in my job that I have today. So, but it's just important to spend some time if you're going to figure out and make a list of all the things that you want, the goals that you want to do, or just make sure to answer the other two questions along with it. So that first, what do I really want? And the thing that you could do with this exercise too is, what do I really want? Then I answer the question, what form do I see it taking? What specific experience do I desire from what it is that I want? And if you were to ask yourself in that order, those questions 3 times, you would be surprised at how it may change.
Oh, really? You get different answers.
Because you need to take some time to really identify that, oh, you know what? Like I said earlier, I really want to, win the lotto. What I really want is consistent abundance in my life. So when I answer the question more than once, I'll get to the heart of what it is that I really want.
Right. So you just don't go with the first thing that
No,
pops
I
in
wouldn't.
your head.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I would just take some time and answer that question a couple of times.
Okay.
Answer that process a couple of times.
So what you see, so to use your example of a job, what you really want is a job that provides you with abundance, with financial wellness and joy.
Joy.
And
Yes.
then what form do you see that taking? Now that's kind of
And the form that I see that taking, there's a couple things. How am I going to get there? Remember my other I was releasing my need to procrastinate.
Right.
So this is combined with that a little bit. The form that I see it taking is I'm repackaging myself, right? I see myself putting my resume, updating my resume together, updating a bio for me. I really looking at all the things that I do, the tasky things that I do that I would want to do in my next job.
Okay.
And then the specific experience that I desire from what I want in that job is that I am going to be able to share my gifts. So it's going to be an appreciation of the gifts that I have that I'm sharing.
Once you
Yes.
repackage yourself and figure out what
Yes.
those gifts are in a different way.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Well, or
lovely.
just when I'm in that job, I'm going to experience that feeling of feeling appreciated, not necessarily from the outside, but I've given my gifts because it's what I wanted to do. I'm doing something that I want to do.
Right. That makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah.
And I just want to affirm for people out there that may be looking at repackaging or looking for a new job or whatever, this would be a fabulous process to do, because it really, then you'll recognize it when you find the job, as opposed to just taking any job. Because if you take any job, you could be taking the same job that you're trying to get out of, right?
That's right.
Which is part of why this process works, because it really does reset our mind, so to speak, refocus our attention in a way so that we're not continually repeating the past.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Because in any moment we can change how we choose to view our life, and in changing how we choose to view our life then changes. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
From both of our personal experiences, yeah?
Is that a Susan Burrell quote? Or I think it needs to be a Susan Burrell quote. That was a good one.
So, okay, that's interesting.
So then when you've kind of identified what it is that you want, then you can, what you want to do now is then create an affirmation, but from a place of where you've already accepted it.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's already happened. Like, it's already happened.
Okay, so for like you, what would it be?
Yeah, so my affirmation is, well, and I can answer this question. As I step into the new year, I accept a job that provides full abundance in all ways, and I'm living from a place of joy while doing it. So I'm already there.
Yeah, I can see it on your face. You're different from when we first started talking, I gotta say. Yeah.
And so the little check mark on my sheet is just an affirmation that, it's done. It's already done. I've put my check mark there, and I write my affirmation, but the check mark in front just says it's already done.
That's a great visual.
So that was my visual, and then. The idea is that you write those affirmations, and I put 3 lines here. My God, you can write as many as you want. But,
I was thinking it was going to be hard to fill up 3 lines. But
you know what? If it's only one, it doesn't matter.
Right. As long as it's powerful.
As long as it's powerful, it's going to be powerful for you. And then what you need to do, though, is take this, fold it up, and put it somewhere, or give it to a friend or somebody. Send it, give it to somebody, and just let it go and trust that it's going to happen. Trust that it's going to happen. You don't need to see it. You don't need to even look at it anymore. You need to give it to somebody, allow somebody to hold on to it, and just know that it's done, because there's no reason to. You've identified really what you want. You've done the work.
All right, you just answered this unspoken question that I didn't even know I had about about affirmations. Because what I know about affirmations is they need to be powerful for you. Mm-hmm. They need to be personal, so you make it you state it in a way that you resonate with. Like you're saying, choose the words that work for you. And it needs to be personal, so it needs to be I, and in the present tense, I, and right now. It's not like I am going to have a job that is, but I have a job that is joyful.
That's right.
And abundant. But then this thing that you just said blows my mind, because I've been doing affirmations for eons, and they're on Post-its all over my house, so that I can remember that's the affirmation that I'm saying today or yesterday. But what you just said is, let it go.
Right.
I got to go home and throw away all those affirmation Post-its, man.
Because
I want them gone. I want it done.
Yeah.
I want to check it off.
I know. But it's checked off.
I get that now.
It's already checked off. And what I'm coming to realize is that if I'm going to repeat that affirmation, I'm affirming that it's still there.
Oh, the
issue might be still there. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
So what I would rather do is find it a year later, or find it and go, oh, how exciting, because it's already it's already done.
Yeah. Wow. It happened.
Yeah. We have to let the universe that really says yes to everything, let it say yes to my life and what it is I want.
I love that, Doreen. So, Doreen Palermo, you are actually doing a class on this very worksheet, this very thing, the New Year exercise. And you're doing it Monday, December 30th at the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living at 7 p.m. And so anybody that's listening, you can go and do this exercise with Doreen, and she'll walk you through it. And it starts at 7, and Ventura Center for Spiritual Living is located at 101 South Laurel Street in, of course, Ventura.
Yes.
So it's Monday night, and
Yes.
it's the New Year exercise.
Yes.
With Doreen Palermo.
And it's just a love offering. So it's nothing, that's just an,
So, yeah.
an opportunity for you to just walk through a process that you might not have done before that provides you some empowerment for the new year.
Oh, absolutely. Doreen, thank you so much for joining us on Living Your Inspired Life. As always, you're a gift to me in my life. And thank you for walking me through my my new releasing affirmation thing that I'm just going to write down and burn up when I get home.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You've been listening to Living Your Inspired Life. If you have missed anything, go to the website, livingyourinspiredlife.org. Download this New Year's journaling process that Doreen has created and really set intentions for yourself to have a very powerful new year. So I'm just going to end it with, and so it is, namaste.